Let's talk about how to export a model from 3D Studio Max to Mudbox. So I have this model that I've modeled way back in, I don't know, maybe 1995 or something like that, a long time ago. It's terrible. And I want to clean it up and export it to Mudbox. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply a turbo smooth to it just to see what problems there might be. Right away I see I don't really need these polygons on the bottom of the head. So what I'm going to do is delete these faces, go to vertices, hold down Control on the keyboard, click this, click faces, grow, delete that, delete these faces, okay. Now when I put Turbo Smooth on, instead of curling up at the ends, it ends nicely, and this is going to be covered by a collar anyways. So oftentimes when you have a separate head, you don't need a cap when it's not necessary, when you're not going to see it, and it smooths out better that way. Also, if you notice, even when this Turbo Smooth is on or off, there's some weird normals going on around here where you see these sharp edges and strange lighting. So to get rid of that, one way is to apply an Edit Poly modifier, and that resets the normals, so lighting can be calculated properly. All the normals stick out the way they should from these vertices. And if you don't know what normals are, just as sort of here, let me collapse this first. Collapse to, and put this normal modifier on. And oh, sorry, not this one. Let's delete that. Edit normals. And display length, turn it down. So these blue lines represent normal data that is saved in each vertex, and that's sort of a visual representation of what a normal is and how they should be, where they should be pointing. And if they aren't pointing correctly, then that means these normals are pointing in odd directions. Maybe you imported an old model, or from a different program, or from or for some other reason the normals are messed up, so you need to reset them. Okay, so let's delete that. Now if I put on my Turbo Smooth again, let's see what it looks like. Much better. No more strange normals. Okay, another thing, just to be safe, to do is to take a look at the smoothing groups. So if I go into either element or poly, select one, you'll see polygon smoothing groups on the right side. Let's just take a look. And sometimes right now there's no smoothing groups at all, but sometimes you'll find that, for example, random faces have different smoothing groups. And that's another thing that can happen, that are going to make the model look strange. Between the normals and the smoothing groups, they can do these kind of weird lighting things. In this case, it's not showing, but you can see it here actually, without the Turbo Smooth on, how these are all looking in one way and these are looking the other. Take this and make it a different smoothing group, and you'll see that there's an edge difference between how these are lit. So sometimes that's intentional, but in our case we just want to make the whole thing one smoothing group. So what I would do is, just to make sure that that is the way it should be, I hit clear all and then just set it to 1. That way the whole thing will look smooth, even without Turbo Smooth on. But as you can see, Turbo Smooth, yeah, so even without Turbo Smooth on, it looks better. Okay, so another thing to do is to make sure that your materials are all working properly. So right now, if I click on the eyeball, it's transparent. So I'm going to hit M and take a look at this material. So let's take this eyedropper tool and see what material this is, because it was done in Maya and I just exported as I believe an OBJ, and who knows, I don't even remember what I did at that time. So let's click on that and see. Okay, okay, so just to simplify things a little bit, so I don't know why it's transparent, let's just take a regular material, standard material, and assign it to the selected object. Okay, so that gets rid of that. Let's do the same thing for the other eye. Okay, the other thing to keep in mind is, especially with working with game models, sometimes you'll have different material IDs. So in right down here, you can set material IDs or select material ID. So if I hit select ID when one is selected, then that will select the ID, the material ID of one. Same thing for the head. If I go to element or polygon and I go 1, select ID, that'll select everything because this is all 1. And I could set this to material ID 2 if I wanted to. Sorry, set it to 2. And then if I were to select 1, then it would not select this because this is now ID 2. But I'm going to set this back to 1. Okay, let's make sure everything is set 1. And so I know that this is all at material ID 1. I know I've had problems with Mudbox in the past where it won't accept multiple material IDs, so that's something to keep in mind. So with these eyeballs, I probably wouldn't want them to be separate objects in Mudbox. I'm just going to use them as placeholders because I know I'm not actually going to need to sculpt these at all. They're just going to stay round. So I'll just attach them. So just think about what parts of your model you're going to want to have attached and what parts you will want to be separate. Because if I were to keep these eyeballs as the same mesh as the head, I would soon run into problems when I'm sculpting, because if I'm sculpting around the eyes, then I'd start to have trouble perhaps avoiding the eyeball. There's still ways to get around that. I can hide the eyeball while I'm sculpting, but it just makes it more convenient, I find, when it's a separate object. Okay, another thing to think about is, so I'm going to remove this Turbo Smooth because it's going to be smooth in Mudbox when I apply subdivision levels. So let's delete that. I'm going to put in unwrap UVW modifier on it and make sure the map channel is at 1. Sorry. The map channel, I'm not sure if that would cause a problem or not, but actually a better thing to focus on would be open UV editor and then making sure that the UVs are all fit within this 0 to 1 space. I see there's nothing bleeding over, because sometimes if you have things like this going on where it's outside of this box, outside of the 0 to 1 space, then Mudbox becomes fussy about that too. So just make sure that it's within the square. If you still have problems when you're sending this to Mudbox, to take it even further, you can select all these vertices, break them, select them again, weld them together. Oops. Make sure when you weld them together that they're at a decent threshold. So that they don't actually start welding with the ones beside them. Okay, and that sort of just resets the mesh. That's another way to take care of strange mesh errors and normal errors, things like that. Okay, another thing is removing isolated vertices. So for example, if you had a vertice, this will happen occasionally out here. When you're modeling and you delete something and you accidentally leave vertices alone in space, and sometimes it's hard to spot them and to know that they're there. So if you just go remove isolated vertices, that takes care of any vertice on here that's isolated. And at the same time, I also click on remove unused map verts. And I know that has also given me problems in Mudbox. And another thing you can do if you're still having problems is go to create box, create a box, go back into the materials, assign a standard material to it. I like to set this box to 0, 0, 0 on the X, Y, and Z axis. So if you could just right click on those, and that will set it to the origin, and then right click, convert to editable poly, so that converts it to an editable poly so that it can have things attached to it and it can be edited, etc. Go attach your head, do not match material IDs. In this case it probably doesn't matter because they're probably both at ID 1, but I always click this anyways because I find that sometimes if I do want material IDs and I'm attaching things, this is the safest way to go, this bottom setting. Okay. And then I can go ahead and delete this box. And what that does is it resets a lot of things. It resets some transforms, some scaling, whatever other things could be causing problems. So it inherits the properties of this newly created box rather than some of the old problems that it might have inherited. Okay, the last thing that I would do if this is still giving you problems is to export it, export selected, and just hit export it as an OBJ. So right here, and then re-import it into the file. I'm not going to do that. I don't think I need to show that, but that just simplifies the data on the vertices a little bit more because the OBJ format is a very simple export format, so it's not going to save out any animation data or anything like that. So that's one last step if things are still giving you problems. So hopefully this is enough to prepare it for export in Mudbox. And this doesn't always happen. It doesn't always have to be this many steps, but these are all the things you can do to sort of troubleshoot, because there are often a lot of problems when exporting to Mudbox, unfortunately, a lot of the time. So let's select our mesh, and I find it